So flip this over. The bit we're interested in is this hole here, which you'll notice goes all the way through. That's the main central pivot point. We're also interested in this slot here, this square recess, and these two slots here. The first thing to find is this funny looking stripy bit here. And these stripes are very important. Now, you might need to just double check that these stripy bits have cut all the way down. Now, they shouldn't have cut all the way through. It should be clear on the back side here. But they want to be cut all the way through, and that allows us to fold this back. So let's try with this bit here. You start to see how we can fold it back. It's very important that you fold it in the right direction. If these other bits don't fold straight away, you might just need to run your knife down them a little bit, but only enough so that it just breaks the cut. We still haven't gone all the way through. That can fold that way, and this can fold back, and that one can fold back. Okay. Right, this is super important. Look what happens when it comes all the way around. Makes a nice square hole in the centre. You'll find that is the size of this. Okay, so be gentle with this part. Okay, and what we're going to try and do is we're going to glue this on to the end. So once you've folded this around, you'll find it fits fantastically well inside this cog. Okay, now what I would suggest is let's put a couple of those together so we can hold it at either end. Right, and now we're going to put some glue into this hole, and then we're going to insert our stick all the way until it reaches the very end. Right, so it should be in line. It shouldn't be sticking out. It should be in line. Let's do that then. So, here we go. I'm going to squirt some glue in here. And then we're going to put our stick in. I'm going to twist the stick as we go. It smears the glue everywhere. And then it just pops out the other end. It's going to bring some glue with it, but that's okay. So what we'll do is we'll wipe that off with our ruler so we don't burn ourselves. So we're going to leave this one on here. The other one we've taken off for the time being. We're going to slide this to the end. Okay, until it lines up nicely with that. It doesn't want to stick out like that. It wants to be in line. Now we're going to put some glue around this outside here and a bit around the inside, so that then when we put the second cog on, we can squeeze the two together. But it's very important you put it on the same way. So before you glue anything, just check which way you're going to do it. Right, this hole must line up with that hole there. Not going to glue the teeth. Make sure that lines up. Okay, squidge that all together. We're now going to take two of these and put them on. So we'll get that in position. Put a second one on. So we've got the first two cogs on here, the first two of these little spacer pieces, and we're going to leave it at that for now. And this ends up going into here, all the way through, and spins. And when we spin this side, it goes all the way through. So you can just about see it spins on the other side. We're going to take these 3 parts here. This is the shortest of the rectangles that you'll find in the kit. We're going to glue these 2 together so that the curved sections line up, and we're going to glue the rectangle into the trough. Gluing that on, make sure it's lined up nicely. We're also going to slide a bit of glue into here. Put our piece in here. Make sure that's all the way in. And now this is ready to insert this recess just here. The curved end meets the gear. So we're just going to glue this on now. I'm going to glue all the way around that piece and then get it inserted before the glue dries. Right, it's really important for this part that we get it the right way round. It needs to go on this side because what happens is it rides inside this slot here, up and down. These parts go on the underside with the teeth facing inwards. The holes are going to line up and you're going to stack 2 on top of each other. So when it's finished, the teeth are actually hidden underneath. And this is what these little pieces are for. It pegs it together. Okay, and then we can put some glue around the back of this. So we've got 2 stacked together. I want to make sure this is flush. It mustn't stick through. It must be back there. And now we can glue that around the back side. Not on this side, but only on this back side. Do the same on here. That part is ready to go. This square recess is where this is going to insert inside. We need to insert this in at an angle to allow us to rotate this down onto this peg. And then, don't push it just yet. Okay, we need to rotate this until that hole is in the middle. Now, push this into place on that peg, really gently. Just make sure those gear teeth mesh together before we push it down. If necessary, rotate this just a little bit. That's down. You can see that is completely flush on there. And this is the reason why you don't want this peg sitting underneath this point, because when this slides, you want it to be able to slide smoothly on that surface. Yep. Now I would suggest, just before you get too much further, just work this back and forwards a few times, because if anything gets tight in here from when you've made it, it's going to rub that nice and smooth before we do anything else to it. Now that's all smooth running, let's move this back to the centre. We're going to insert this part over the top, slot him on, make sure he's sitting down nicely. And actually, before we go too much further, we want to glue this on. We don't want to hold it down too hard. It's just there to stop this from lifting. So put that in place, push that down softly so everything is touching. Then we're going to put a blob of glue on the back here. So that is going to lock all these parts in place. And we're going to hold it so that the circle round here isn't off to one side, it's nicely in the middle. Now that's dry, we can take these parts and slip them over the top here, back onto our keyway again. And you can see that that hole lines up very nicely with the hole below on the cog. We're going to put some glue on this time, glue all these together. second one on, push it into place. Make sure these circles line up. It should do because of this keyway. Now we put the final couple of rings on. Tiny bit of glue just in there. Not too much, we don't want to squirt glue everywhere. Push that one home. Put the last one in place. And then finally, we're going to put a nice blob of glue on top of this. And we're going to cap it with the final remaining circle. Just rotate that so it smears the glue everywhere. Really carefully, we're going to want to get this and insert it into here. You can see it's currently sitting a little proud at the minute, so I'm just going to push all these gears down and pull that up a little bit. With this lined up in the centre this way, this peg lines up across with this peg here. So this can now go really nicely from one end all the way to the other. So we're going to sit that in the centre for this next bit. And now we need to make the control arm that drives this. First thing to do is take your lollipop stick and it's going to go into this slot. So I'm going to push that in. Be really careful not to bend this when you do it. And if you put your fingers either side as you squidge that through, it stops it from bending. Now I want to make sure that's the same distance on either side. And now we can start to assemble these other parts. So one on this side, make sure all these holes are lining up, flip it over, and that side, again support everything, make sure you don't squash it. We're just going to put a dowel through the middle of here, and that's going to help to centralise everything. I'm just going to pop that through the middle. Make sure your gear teeth are aligned as they are. If we just slide that down to just a little bit poking out just like that, it's going to help us to align when we put this on in just a moment. So put that under there. Now we're going to glue just this central section. And the reason for that is that we don't want to glue around here because we don't want to get any glue in the teeth. We also don't want to glue these holes at the moment. So if you make sure you put a little blob at the end of this and go all the way around, we can now insert this on and push him into place. Now we're going to flip him over, push that through so it's sticking out just a little bit like it was before, and repeat the same process. Any bits of glue sticking out like this one, we're going to need to get rid of that. So either wipe it off with your hand or with a knife or the ruler or something, and it needs to not be there. A couple of things to finish this off. We're going to seam this down here with glue and all the other ones all the way around. These can just be inserted into here if we just twist. You want to even this on both sides. Just going to do the other one. That part is now finished, ready to go. Make sure that this is aligned through the centre here. This one wants to be lined up nicely in the middle. And now you're going to take this, it inserts into this recess here. I'm going to slide this dowel out. And what we're looking to do is to line up this hole with this hole, and these teeth go into these recesses. So let's slide him in. To put this through, we're just going to sharpen the tip of it just a little bit. So it's a little bit like a pencil, not too sharp, just going to help it to go through. There we go, that's all the way through from one side to the other. Now this doesn't need gluing. From time to time you might want to disassemble things, so he can just sit in there. But now this should be able to rotate forward and backwards. And you can start to see your mechanism working. Now there's one more support piece that we need to put in here. We'll just find that. So put that back to what I call the center, which is perpendicular to this face. And you'll see that that is pretty much straight through the center. What you're looking for is this part here. So let's spin that out. Bend up the parts on the sides. It's going to go this way inside. It's going to fit in through those slots. This ensures that it has this part here, which is the rack, has got something to run on. So we can just pop that up there. That makes this all work really nicely. And we're just going to glue that in place. So just going to put a blob of glue under there. We're not going to push down too hard, but to lifted it out a little bit, blob of glue inside, pop that down to it's touching on those rails, and now this can move really nicely. That's the base pretty much done. Now we need to move on to the top part that supports all of the linkages and the grabber arm. We'll do this in step 6.